Yo, what's up? My name is Kaelin Ellis, and I'm here to show you guys bedroom production and the possibilities of using what you have in music production. I'll be talking about how to do drum programming and how I'm going to use this water bottle to make a beat. For me, I am a very mid-groovy, up-tempo guy. I hover between 100 BPMs and 110. Usually a lot of great songs that I've listened to are usually around that era. So let's put in 102. My usual approach is just get a couple bars, and run it on loop. This is gonna be the nucleus of anything you create when it comes to drums, chords. Let's see how many sounds you can get out of this thing. So you have the weird little squeakiness. Ooh, that's nice. All right. We're gonna quantize that actually. Let's quantize this exactly on the grid to 1/8 notes. Yes! That sounds pretty cool. We're gonna take this exact same thing, duplicate it, because I want to have both an option to be able to still configure the original file and have a file that kind of is contorted and messed with. So we're gonna hit Command J, and bam, now you have an audio file that you can just kind of tweak. We're gonna put this on complex. I'm gonna put this on complex, and I'm gonna drop it down an octave. That's cool. All right, so how many more sounds can I get out of this water bottle? All right. We're gonna duplicate this. So we're already creating the backbone of what is gonna be the groove for this entire thing from this water bottle. So now we're gonna quantize these as well. So should sound something like this. Typically, my approach when it comes to creating drum sounds from scratch, when it comes to Ableton, one of my favorite tools that I like to use is Corpus. Corpus is one of those things where you can actually take a physical model of like an impacted instrument. Like it could be a bell, it could be a tom, it could be a drum. Corpus has the physical modeling synthesis ability to be able to create whatever kind of sound you want. So we're gonna go to another preset actually and change that to medium. And there's a weird attack on top of it. Like there's a really weird high frequency. So when it comes to drum programming, I like my joints to be very to the point, low, subby, and has like a little bit of a punch. So in order to be able to initiate those type of sounds, we go to two things, EQ and a saturator built into Ableton. Me personally, I don't even like to mix with and create drums off of like what I'm seeing when it comes to like grids and spectrums. Turn that bad boy off. You're not gonna need that in the first bit. It's cool to think about like, oh, the numbers and like the calculations. Music is a feeling, buddy. So we're gonna keep this kick here, and I'm gonna roll off this high. Okay, we're gonna do a soft clip on the saturator. We're gonna raise this drive up. That's cool. And another one that I like to use for my kicks are drum bus. Drum bus in Ableton. Now that I've added the saturator and the drum bus, it's just small little slight sound design things that I like to use specifically for Ableton to be able to create the drums for my project. So now you're gonna notice, you take that transient and bring it the other way. There's a knock now. I like knock. And now that I'm married to it, we're gonna freeze it and bam, flatten it. Now you got your own kick drum. We're gonna go to drum bus again, do the same thing with snare. That's cool. All right, I discovered something cool. So there's a little bit of water in this bottle, a little bit of water. I'm gonna try and take this water in here. That's gonna be our shaker and our hi-hat. And I don't even need this anymore. It's one of those things where I know that the tools within what I have can create a sound that I'm thinking of. Usually presets. So one of the presets here on Corpus, bright snare. We're gonna drag it right there. You're gonna kind of ease up on the dry wet because it's a pretty abrupt effect. I'm gonna turn it down. Cool. So now that we have that little bit and piece, we're gonna duplicate that to 4 bars. So now all these little pieces right here, this is all made with the water bottle. We're gonna group that. This is the foundation for the drums of this track we're working on. So I'm gonna just call it water bottle trash drums. Bam! This piece of musical history sitting in front of me. This machine here is the Roland TR-08. It is a remake of the classic 808 Roland machine. This type of thing here has helped me kind of like open up the rhythms that I didn't think were possible when it comes to production. And so something like, you know, these little patterns kind of open up like different possibilities for either something like these sounds or another sound to be in place of whatever I'm trying to create. So this is the track. And I might have to tweak it a little bit to kind of get what I want. So where we have it at, take the snare out. Ooh. Ooh. Let's actually record that. So all I'm doing right now is trying to find pockets. Typically when it comes to drums and drummers, usually it's those little intricate pockets that create grooves. Let's hit record. See, we got a whole concept now just with using this 808. Now what's crazy is you can kind of tweak that little intricacy of the 808 to kind of fit in smaller areas. So we're gonna take this 808 and actually rename this TR-08. Gonna move this right above this drum loop I've created, and we're gonna just try and see what spaces can be taken out. All right. I like do 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 do. That's just a random idea that just popped in my head. I'm like, all right, what if I just take the silence and just keep it funky, you know? Keep it simple, keep it funky. Don't force the funk. I'm gonna take this out and create space. Now, one of the things that I love about Ableton is just the quick command keys. Hitting 0 will definitely deactivate any kind of loop you have. Other programs have the same ability, but it's just so convenient that 0 is the one that does it. You don't necessarily have to delete it. You could just silence it. Maybe come back to it and use it in another way. So, and it's so crazy because you can remember that little element, you know? So we're just gonna duplicate that. And actually here's something really, really cool. So this hi-hat, little hi-hat thing, we're gonna do something real easy. Gonna cut off just lows, and I like to use EQ3. I'm gonna try something here. Let's cut off the lows, and I'm gonna do something really, really weird. If it works, do it again. If it doesn't, learn how it can be better improved on. So I hear ticka. I hear this thing. This space right here, I can take it and double just this section right here. So one way I'm gonna go about here, like doubling it, like double timing it. So instead of it just being chick, 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 it's gonna go from chick, chick, chick to chicka, 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 chick. And I might even like quadruple that. Let's see how gnarly we can get with it. And I'm actually gonna have it in a one section. So this small little area, let's actually rename it triplet. And hit loop. That way when you do change the timing of it, it doesn't shorten the clip, because turning on loop, it does actually keep it, you know, the whole section there without like removing part of it. See, loop, and we're gonna hit double. So now when you hear it, it sounds like this. And I'm actually gonna keep the second half slow. So we're gonna do the same exact thing for this side over here and make it slow. So I'm only gonna be one hit rather than check. So just like this. Same thing is gonna happen. Boom, just the opposite way. That's it, right there. I'm actually gonna roll off a little bit of this high. Let's make another 808 channel and add some like shakers. So there is this setting in the TR-808 that allows you to switch between like claps, rim shots, and like clobbs and maracas. It's so dope, bro. Like, it's one of those things where, you know, you don't even necessarily need to have like a lot of theory to be able to just mess with this thing. It's like pressing a button and seeing what happens. So and this little function here in Ableton has a cool little thing where you can kind of nudge beats ahead of your production. So you can kind of like slide whatever external instrument you're using to kind of fit the space, whether you want it on the grid or you want to drag it behind or be a little early. It's super crazy. So yeah. Gonna keep hitting this little nudgers. A little more. Turn it off. And we're gonna take out some spaces because I have that shaker there. Turn it off. Bam. Create space. Create space for other parts of the instrument, your drums, to exist. Yeah, turn that off. Yes. Turn that off. Space. And this is all just kind of me flowing by ear. I don't have like a per se plan by how I'm approaching this. It's just what feels right. And I might actually take this drum and put it on the kick. So we're gonna take this kick, move it over here. I actually like the way it sounds. I like that little boom, boom. So we're gonna move this over here, make it predictable. Remember, predictability in music, you gotta be able to throw people in and out when it comes to like the predictability of like certain sounds. So, boom, boom. I like that. So, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, let's try that. And I want to keep that little accidental hit at the very end here. That just sounds dirty. Dirty! So let's go put this right here. We're gonna duplicate it, and just like that. And we're gonna actually turn this pitch down for the shaker, because it's in a good tone, but like not even tone, just like it just sounds bright. I want to be able to mess with it a little bit. everything about this is gonna be the foundation for our track. And so alongside the 808 and the water bottle, I got a pretty good start on something pretty cool. Actually, we're gonna actually put another track into the drum bus and record one of the tracks internally into one of the tracks. And so let's go ahead and hit the input, go to snare, and all I need is just one of these. So we're just gonna hit record. That's all I needed. So now when I go to MIDI, I'm gonna make a MIDI track. It's another one of my favorite techniques when it comes to creating drums. I like to take the audio that is already created and put a MIDI track to that in translation. And this is how I can break things down to its totality. So now I'm just gonna only take a couple pieces. Yeah. Another thing that I like to go about doing is adding a little bit of reverb. But here's the thing. My reverb approach is not through reverb strictly through the Ableton's approach. I like to go through echo. We're gonna actually turn off the sync for this one. Turn it down, no feedback. Actually make it a little later. Yeah. And take that stereo and make it mono. That's cool. Another effect I like to do is within the MIDI, add spread. Spread is just gonna take that one mono signal, or if it is stereo, and just kind of spread it amongst stereo width. So I only got it at maybe like 26%. You can hear it a little bit, but it's also a little bit of phasing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna create one stereo here. We're gonna take this one and do it another way. So we're gonna, yeah, I could do this. So we're gonna do this. Here we go. So now I'm gonna duplicate that same track and do a hard left, hard right. But here's the catch. The beginning of this joint for the loop on the MIDI is gonna be the end. And this one in the end is gonna be the beginning. So I basically flipped it in reverse. You do maybe an easy left and an easy right for both of those MIDI. And now you got a pretty wide sounding sound. Yeah. Now the funny thing is, I haven't even applied the knot to this whole drum loop yet. So now this is where the intricacy comes in. I gotta start messing with this drum kit, this little snare drum I got. And we're gonna record that. And I'm gonna try and play around with some happy accents to see if I can get some cool sounds and little intricate textures. So here we go. Ooh. We're gonna drop that off. Everything we just did, we're gonna create a little part where everything comes out and it comes back in. So now it creates enough space for us to kind of like maneuver and create an arrangement and process this thing a little more. So now let's go ahead and take this out. So now it sounds like this. Yeah, I gotta keep that thing going. Yeah. Now I'm just gonna duplicate it. Now we got 8 bars. See, we're expanding a little more now. Open it. And me, I like to take certain things out at like odd moments. And I'm just gonna take this here, and I'm only gonna keep this at the very end. So the snare is gonna just kind of live there on its own. Space, playing around with what works. Take things out, put things back in there, see if there's a space for it. Because there's always space for something to live, like pocket. Now I'm gonna add drum bus. I like drum bus a lot. I could take a little bit out here. So there's a couple things that I don't need to be here. Let's take this out, turn it back on. I actually like that. Put the whole thing in the drum bus. Me personally, I like to just have all my processing on one group. It's more so of a stylistic thing. Sometimes understanding the rules and see how like the rules work will help you bend the rules just as much. So I could even do something like this is just as much as an introduction, because I actually like what's here at the very end. Now, I've created a lot of beat videos on my Instagram page. And one of the things that those videos have helped me do, it has allowed me to understand how arrangements go. So this right here is at least just an 8-bar loop, but we can take this 8-bar loop and kind of create a whole life of its own. So in order to do that, you have to go through the parts that are in the beat in order to kind of figure out what exactly should I put here. So what is prominent right now in the drum loop is this little boop-a-doop-a-doop-a-doop. What if we mute that? That's a whole song start. So I could literally just have just that as like the intro. And see, those first 4 bars, we created a space to do that. Me, I try to be cognizant of exactly what I'm trying to do when it comes to like just messing around and seeing like what works. I like to just kind of section off my pieces a little bit to figure out like, all right, what is the next part of where I should go with it? And it's all just free flowing. Sometimes you just gotta leave things on mute and just kind of move from there. So we're gonna take this hi-hat part out that we did with the water bottle, delete that bad boy. That does not need to be there. We're gonna take this little 808 thing, boom, and it's there. So here's this really crazy thing I like to do when it comes to creating these little intricate intros. So I'm gonna re-record everything inside of Ableton using the resampling selection here, and I'm just gonna record it, just right here in another channel. Watch this. So now that I have that there, one of my favorite things I like to do is completely disregard the loop that I made in the very beginning and turn what I just did. Yes, I just recorded a drum loop, literally a whole drum loop right here. It's a whole drum loop literally just created. You can kind of maneuver this thing however you want. One of the things I like to do is to take exactly this, right? So select this loop, hit loop. Let's keep it on transient and make this little like elongated envelope. And I'm just gonna take this loop and go like this. Take the loop, after you go up an octave, consolidate it. What consolidating it does is it creates its own audio file. It's now its own sound. There's no adjustment shown. It's just its own audio file now. Now, let's go back to EQ3. EQ3, something as simple as creating like a little pass right here for the filters and stuff. You could actually turn that off, and now you have something that sounds like a filtered intro. Matter of fact, let's layer that. Make another octave. Ooh. Dirty. So let's try something like EQ high. I want to automate. So we're about to get into some more intricate stuff. I like to create movement within my processing. So typically the automation is like kind of creating a sound design sculpting effect within a lot of my production. So this is what I like to do. Go to automation on Ableton. And I only want to be able to touch the high frequency. This is why I like using EQ3 because it's basically a built-in filter. So let's take this here, drag this here, and at the very end, raise it all the way up. And what we're gonna do is on this one, on the low octave, we're gonna turn that high octave down. Basically, create like a weird little movement, if you will. Mind you, there is no rule book for what I'm doing. I know automation creates movement within your space aside from the actual instrumentation, but it's a little sound design effect that I like to go about. So. I'm actually gonna turn off the reverb right here. So that reverb that you hear on the clap, I'm gonna cut that off just for that one moment. And I like to play with the spacing of not just the sounds, but also the effects too. So those are two different approaches that I like to go about when it comes to creating these arrangements. No rules, by the way. Remember, there's no rules to this thing. So speakers, let's see if I could go to reverb and zero that out. Zero that one out too. Yes, this track, boom, zero it out. All right, so if you listen back, this is what it sounds like. I can create textures with that. So this is the last thing I'm gonna add, and this is it. So let's have this room mic be recorded for the snare. We're just gonna create this. Ooh, I'm thinking something dumb. Let's throw reverb. Just an actual reverb audio effect on this one versus the echo. This one, this is kind of in the key of what we're doing, not even knowing like what key I'm in. So let's take this here, take off, make it really like reverberated. Perfect. So now when you hear it back, and just like that, this concludes my production techniques for bedroom producers on how to be able to enhance your production to create beats at home. I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I appreciate you guys for tuning in, and until next time, my name is Kaelin Ellis. Thank you.